Chapter 21. With every breath I breathe. 1 month later. It's happening so fast, I said, covering my face with my hands, tears slipping through my fingers. I know, Sylvia said, rubbing my back, crying with me. But think of how long she's been sick and didn't even know. You've had more time with her than many people get. She's a strong and brave woman. She is, I agreed, sniffling and wiping my eyes. I just don't know how I will let her go. I can't begin to imagine what you are going through, Angelo, but my heart aches when I think of her not being in the world. One of the bright lights of this earth is a bit dimming. It will be darker when she's gone, but she will leave a small flame for you to light your way through this life. Hopefully that flame will grow enough to give you warmth until the day you see her again. She squeezed my hand. Just remember, I will always be here for you when you need me. Thanks, Sylvia, for everything. We stood and walked to the door. Call me no matter the time. I will. Closing the door, I went to the kitchen to get Katya's lunch, which now consisted of nutritional shakes, soup, and organic applesauce, because those were the only things she could eat when she ate, and I had to feed her because she was no longer strong enough. When the pain had worsened even more, the doctor advised me to order a hospital bed for Katya, but she wouldn't hear of it, insisting that she needed to be next to me. I didn't want to sleep away from her either. The pain medication was increased, so she was asleep most of the time. When she was awake, we didn't talk. We just silently stared at each other. I could tell there was so much she wanted to say but didn't have the strength to. Whenever I had to take care of Katya's personal needs, tears would fill her eyes, and I knew she was saddened that she couldn't take care of herself. She felt that she was a burden. She didn't have to speak the words because I saw them in her eyes. I would then kiss her mouth, press my lips to her ear, and whisper, I love you so much, Dolcezza. You are my treasure, and caring for you is never a burden. Please don't think that. This is my place. Moving to the kitchen window, I gaze out at the backyard, allowing my eyes to travel down to the lake. The view brought to mind the last good day Katya had. It was a few days after we got back from Mackinac. We took a blanket down to the lake, where Katya and I lay looking up through the leafy tree limbs at the sky. We talked for a while, sharing memories of the past. Katya moved closer. I drew her into my arms and became lost in her kiss. She was so warm, her embrace so intoxicating. We whispered our love for each other over and over. Sharing a longing gaze, I carried her back to the house, and we made love. It was the last time we were able to share the experience. I knew I would miss it, and I did, but now I missed holding her close to me more. Drawing my thoughts to the present, I poured the shake into a glass, stuck in a straw, and put the glass on a tray along with a small bowl of applesauce. Pausing, I took a moment to get a good handle on my emotions before going up. Katya was awake. Hi, Bella. I brought you some lunch. Let me sit you up so you can eat. I gently lifted her, doing my best not to cause her additional pain, and placed some pillows behind her back. I sat on the edge of the bed and tried to feed her a spoon of applesauce, but she turned her head away slightly, and I knew she wouldn't be able to eat it. I held a glass and placed the straw between her lips. She was able to take 2 sips. That's good, sweetheart, I said softly. We will try again in a little while. Placing the tray on the table, I sat on the bed again and took her hand, startled when she opened her mouth to speak. I leaned over her. What is it, my Katya? Her voice was just above a whisper. A adopt a son for us, Angelo. Don't want you to be alone." Her eyes were earnest and clearer than they had been for the last week. "Promise me, amore." My dear, sweet Katia. She had suffered so much, yet she never stopped thinking of me, never stopped worrying for me. She was the most giving person I know. Now I would give her this. "I will," I answered, my voice cracking. "I promise." She slowly smiled then, and I basked in the light of it. I had not thought I would ever see her beautiful smile again in this life. "Angelo?" "Yes, my love." "Would like to lake take me?" "Yes, I will take you." Wrapping her in a light blanket, I gently scooped her up in my arms and slowly carried her down the path through the backyard, repeatedly kissing her brow on the way. Always small and petite, she now barely weighed 70 pounds. But even with the gaunt features, she was still the most beautiful thing in the world to me. When we reached the lake, I sat down on the grass and held her in my lap, cradling her in my arms like a child. She slowly opened her eyes, squinting in the bright light. She turned her head, slightly focusing on the lake. "So beautiful," she whispered. I had tried to be strong for her, to keep my feelings locked away, but at the moment, I couldn't help it. The tears just came in a rush, refusing to be stopped. "You are so beautiful," I sobbed, kissing her brow, then her lips. "So beautiful. Oh, Katia, I don't know how to be without you." She turned her eyes to mine, the clarity in them fading. "Live your life, amore mio." Her words were slurring together. "Live for both of us. Promise." "I promise." I kissed her again. She closed her eyes and rested her head against my heart. "Love you." "I love you too." "Tell me about our son." Caressing her face, I gazed out over the lake. In addition to the ducks that normally made their home along our part of the shore, there were a couple of swans that now lived in the lake. They were always there for a short time, showing up for a few months out of the year. "Our son will be a beautiful boy, a good boy with a good heart. He will take after you that way. He may not share our blood, but with God's help, I will try to teach him the way you would. He will be smart and gifted like you, but I won't ever force him to be creative. Hopefully, he will find those gifts on his own. I will read to him each day. He will love to read, and he will love doing his schoolwork. We will play ball, and I will teach him Jeet Kune Do. We will go to the park, and I will take him to work with me. He will grow tall and strong and be kind to everyone. And Hearing Katia's breath catch, I looked down at her closed eyes just as she softly exhaled. Then it happened again, the second slow exhale being her last, and my world immediately stilled. Clutching her body to me, I sobbed, rocking her slowly. "And I will teach her about you, Katusha. I will tell him of the joy you brought to me and how much I loved you, how much I will always love you. He will know you, amore. Your posterity will know you and love you as I will forever love you." Holding my wife tightly against me, the way I had not been able to before she took her final breath, I continued to rock her, and I wept, my broken sobs echoing in the trees surrounding me. and in my mind I could hear her sweet voice humming the rhapsody. Epilogue. Be seeing you somewhere in time. Sitting on a granite bench beside the lake, I cast my line into the water and reel it in a little, my eyes briefly taking in the age spots and spider veins on the backs of my hands that signal old age, for I am indeed old now. Though I am not looking at them, the words I had engraved on the bench so long ago are engraved in my heart. With every breath I breathe, I love her. With longing arms and hands I cling. Too soon arms and hands are empty, leaving no more breath to breathe. One day the aroma of her kiss will fill these lungs, and I will breathe again. For Katya, my treasure. It has been 50 years since death separated me and my sweet Katya, and I still wear the ring that ties me to her. It has never come off, and it never will. I retired from the hotel years ago, and it is now in the hands of our son and his family. I adopted Nick a year after Katya died, keeping my promise to her. He was 3 years old when I was blessed to become his father, and he has brought me great joy, and so has his posterity, our posterity. I had been prepared to not have any once Katya was gone, but she was a wise woman and knew I needed family in order to keep going. She couldn't bear to think of me being alone, and I could not bear to bring her pain by consigning myself to a life of solitude. With Nick's dark wavy hair and hazel eyes, he could have been born of us, which makes me believe he was meant to be a part of our family all along. I did teach him the best I could, and he grew to be a good man. He knows and loves Katya as his mother, and he has said many times that he looks forward to finally meeting her one day. I always tell him that though I long for that for him as well, I hope it will be many years before their meeting. I have attended church on a regular basis for years now, and I will always be grateful for the 2 young missionaries that knocked on my door, bringing me the gospel of Jesus Christ. It was the only thing that has helped me get through the years of living without the person who was my other half for so long. Happily, I can report that I have accomplished all I wanted to in this life and more. I have no regrets. I have loved with my whole heart and have had that love returned. I truly hope I have made my Father and my Heavenly Father proud. Now I am 89 years old. My eyesight is failing, and my hearing is beginning to diminish, and I am looking forward to the day I can join my sweet Tesora, for she was indeed my treasure, the thing I prized most next to my Savior. My life is now winding down, and the curtain will one day soon be drawn on this episode of my existence, the final act looming before me, preparing me for my final bow. Until then, as it has so many times, my mind will go back to another time. I will travel back through the halls of memory where she permanently resides. I see her smile, hear her laughter, and feel her love. I soak in every single detail, allowing myself for a short time to live in that holographic world. Sometimes during these moments, I hear my sweet Katya's voice and can feel her presence. In those moments, love flows over me, through me. Thank you, Katusha, I always whisper, and I know I am another step closer to feeling her embrace once more. I take comfort in this, and I am grateful for the tender mercy. One of the last things Katya said to me was, "Live your life, Amor Emil. Live it for both of us." And I have. 3 years later, surrounded by his family, Angelo died after a short and draining bout of pneumonia. As healthy as he had always been, the family was sure he would recover, but Angelo and God had other plans. As Angelo's spirit separated from his frail old body, he opened his eyes, and standing before him in a white Victorian gown, with her hand outstretched, was his beloved Katia. Her mouth curved in that adorable smile he loved so much, her eyes shining, full of love. He cried tears of joy as her arms went around his waist, and he clutched her to him, burying his face in her thick, curly tresses and breathing in the fragrance that was her. Then he kissed her, whispering against her lips, "Ti amo, tesora. Now I can breathe again."